Hello and welcome. Tonight, Central Bank of Nigeria warns against sale and abuse of Naira notes, especially at social events, says perpetrators stand the risk of being fined or prosecuted. House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee investigating nation's stolen crude alleges interference by Office of the Attorney General and Interpol in its assignment. Presidential candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, Rabiu Kwankwaso, denies planning a merger with any political party ahead of the presidential election later this month.
On business news tonight, NNPC Limited signs $741 million deal with South Korean engineering firm Daewoo for repair of Kaduna refinery at petroleum company.
And on sports news tonight, British prosecutors dropped charges of attempted rape and assault against Manchester United forward Mason Greenwood following withdrawal of key witnesses.
And from Abuja, the nation's capital, 3 persons feared dead, 5 others rescued as another building collapses in the Waringpa area of the Federal Capital Territory.
And in international news from London, Ukraine warns of major new Russian offensive to mark anniversary of war.
It may no longer be business as usual for those engaged in the act of buying and selling the Naira, and indeed those in the habit of spraying at social functions. This is because the Central Bank of Nigeria says it will come down hard on buyers and abusers of the Naira. A statement by the Apex Bank today says it is collaborating with the Nigeria Police, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and other agencies to address the sale, swap and abuse of the new Naira notes at social events. The Apex Bank explains that the act is unpatriotic and contravenes Section 21 of the CBN Act. The statement reads in part, "It is unlawful to sell the Naira, hurl, spray or stamp on the currency under any circumstance whatsoever." The statement also disclosed that the CBN has directed deposit money banks, DMBs, to commence the payment of the redesigned Naira notes over the counter, subject to a maximum daily payout limit of 20,000 Naira. Meanwhile, the federal government says it is concerned by the current hardship faced by citizens over the new Naira notes, but describes the pain as transient. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, disclosed this today during the weekly ministerial briefing at the State House.
We're not happy that citizens have to queue and struggle at bank ATMs to be able to get their cash. But this is a temporary solution. Let me just give you an analogy. If you have a wound, for you to be able to heal that wound, it needs to be dressed. And sometimes when you go to the hospital, they'll put iodine on the wound, and it is very painful. But it's necessary to do that to be able to get the wound to heal. So it's not easy. And Mr. President is not happy that citizens are really suffering, but we are convinced that it is something that needs to be done at this time. And also, the central bank has been responsive in terms of providing some extension and also further explanation that come the closing date, that it's not all over, that there's still opportunity for citizens as provided for in the CBN Act Section 20 subsection 3 to actually take their old currency to the central bank for redemption. So it's not all over. But the positive side of it is that there's a lot of currency that has been mopped up by this operation, and it means it has achieved a good level of success. The only sore point is the pain it has caused to citizens, which is regrettable, but which is also very transient and temporary, and the bank is continuing to address it.
To legislative matters now, an ad hoc committee of the House of Representatives is asking questions of the Attorney General as well as Interpol on what it describes as interference in the committee's investigation. The committee, which is investigating the nation's stolen crude from 2014 till date, questions why the whistleblowers would be invited by Interpol on the request of the Ministry of Justice just after the commencement of the investigation by the House. However, the head of the National Central Bureau of Interpol Nigeria, Mr. Garba Umar, says the Bureau only acted on the request of the Attorney General. Our correspondent Terry Kumi has more.
Let us confine ourselves to...
This House of Representatives ad hoc committee is investigating a whistleblower's allegation of the illegal sale of 48 million barrels of Nigeria's burning light crude in China in 2015, valued at $2.4 billion. The House has invited the International Criminal Police Organization, simply known as Interpol, and this is why.
The Nigerians who are involved are still within the country. Now, two of them were the ones who approached us, willing to give details of what transpired in this whole situation. But considering the fact that you were not involved in that initial investigation, I want to first start by asking, how come you wrote letters to these individuals after the committee's investigation had commenced and after they had indicated their desire to give evidence to this committee?
There is a request from a competent ministry, the number one law ministry in Nigeria, asking us to trace somebody that is being missing, that is supposed to appear in court. And they attach court processes and others, and warrant, bench warrant and other documents.
There is a group called Advocacy for Good Governance and Free Nigeria. That is the so-called civil society organization that wrote to the Attorney General claiming there was this international gang of blackmailers trying to blackmail senior officials of the government. How come the Attorney General responded to allegations by a faceless body? So that means the Attorney General himself does not even ascertain the veracity of any organization.
The committee questions the renewed interest of the Ministry of Justice in the case following the commencement of its investigation.
The person who held surety for them in their bail was informed after your letter, after our letter to the IG complaining about your supposed interference in our investigation, that the case was going to come up again in March. You can see how suddenly the investigation of the committee is now gingering a revisit to some of these issues, and that to us gives us cause for concern.
The committee fears for the safety of the whistleblowers and insists that the Ministry of Justice should not be making direct requests to the National Central Bureau of Interpol, but should go through the police, as Interpol by law is only expected to respond to requests by local law enforcement agencies. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
And to politics, the presidential candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, Mr. Rabiu Kwankwaso, has denied planning a merger with any political party ahead of the presidential election this month. Mr. Kwankwaso says he is not in talks with other leading candidates, neither will he go into discussion whatsoever with anyone regarding the presidential election. The NNPP presidential flag bearer made the clarification on our breakfast program, Sunrise Daily.
Are you stepping down for Alhaji?
That's the second part. You see, I was highly disappointed with him because I saw his interview. Even though it was not as bad as people, his supporters were going around to say I was. He didn't say anyone, me or Peter was step down for him. What he said from the video that I saw was that he's talking to us, and that's not correct. Except for here in Lagos when I came to do the Arise debate or town hall meeting. Since I left PDP, I've not seen Atiku eye to eye. And I refuse to talk to anybody. Because you see, The only thing remaining for PDP and APC now is propaganda. And that's why I was surprised, because people at that level should try and be careful to say things that are correct. It's not wise. You see, this is part of the credibility we are talking about. In Konkosia, when you say Konkosia, we say Amana. Amana means trust. Whatever we say is what we mean. And to say that I'm talking to PDP or APC or Labour now is not true. And I can tell you, we don't intend to talk to anybody now. From now to election, everybody should go and fight it out. And more importantly, we believe that we will win this election, because now we are very strong in all the northern states. Why I am here in southern part of the country is to see how we can get 5 additional states to fulfill the requirements of our constitution. We are so convinced now that we will win. Now, how can somebody, a candidate, especially the party that I rejected, I left, and bring in a brand new party to this country, and it's been accepted across the country, and then somebody to claim we are talking to say what, to do what? But on the other hand, we know INEC, even INEC and many other commentators are saying that it will be difficult for the election to be won during the first ballot. So maybe there may be need to go for second election. Now, under that circumstance, all the parties, of course, will sit and see how they can come together out of the. Now they are talking of 4 parties, 5 parties, whatever number of parties. But at the end of the day, going by the Constitution, if no party is able to fulfill that condition, the first 2, and we believe that the minimum that can happen will be the issue of being number 1 in terms of number.
And now to the campaign grounds. The All Progressives Congress presidential candidate, Senator Bola Tinubu, headed to Osogbo, the Osun state capital, with his message of renewed hope as he assured the people and party supporters of his commitment to create jobs for the unemployed and make credit available for business owners. Addressing party supporters who thronged the venue of the campaign rally at Freedom Park, Senator Tinubu says his administration will empower the people with employable skills while ensuring that the youth will no longer spend years in university due to strike actions. The APC presidential candidates, who also met with the Council of Obas led by the Oni of Ife, assured traditional rulers that his administration will restore hope to all Nigerians. In part 2, after the break, Southern and Middle Belt Leaders Forum endorses Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi for the presidency. That's in a moment. Do stay with us. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Central Bank of Nigeria warns against the sale and abuse of Naira notes, especially at social events, says perpetrators stand the risk of being fined or prosecuted. House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee investigating the nation's stolen crude alleges interference by Office of the Attorney General and Interpol in its assignment. Presidential candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, Rabiu Kwankwaso, denies planning a merger with any political party ahead of the presidential election this month. Plus, Russian President Vladimir Putin compares Russia's invasion of Ukraine to fight against Nazi Germany over Germany's decision to send Leopard tanks to Ukraine. And we continue with the campaigns. This time, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, is promising to tackle banditry, kidnappings and terrorism that has crippled the economy of Zamfara State and other parts of northwestern states if elected president. He made the promise while addressing his supporters at the presidential rally in Gusau, the Zamfara State capital. Mr. Obi said Zamfara has been faced with endemic poverty, hunger, as farming, which is the mainstay of the state, has been disrupted by insecurity.
Our job is to ensure that Rest assured, when we win, we will care for people with disability, we will care for all. Our government will care for everybody. Support us. You have voted for PDP. You are hungry because the umbrella leaked. You have voted for APC. They should do into poverty. Vote for human being. Vote for human being so you can have a life. Our commitment is Mama, Papa, King. Mama, Papa, go and vote for LP. Stay there, count the vote, and you sit and for a develop.
We're staying with the Labour Party. Southern and Middle Belt Leaders Forum have endorsed the presidential candidate of the party, Mr. Peter Obi, as its preferred candidate for the February 25 presidential election. The forum took the decision after its extraordinary meeting in Abuja. The leadership of the forum is made up of the Middle Belt, Ohanaeze Ndigbo, Afenifere, and the Pan-Niger Delta Forum.
About 3 weeks to the 2023 presidential elections, leaders of the Southern and Middle Belt Forum are holding this extraordinary meeting to discuss critical issues on the state of a nation. Those attending this meeting are drawn from the Middle Belt Forum, Ohanaeze Ndigbo, Afenifere, and Pan-Niger Delta Forum, PANDEF. The attendees resolved to endorse the presidential candidate of a Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, for the 2023 presidential election.
Tell your people to come out and give me. Obi should not suffer because of money about this election. We are not going to bribe anybody. We don't want your money to bribe. We want your money to you to mobilize. My plea to you, henceforth, is to go out from today and fight this battle in such a relentless manner as never before.
Representatives of the various groups explained their rationale for agreeing with the endorsement.
Peter Obi serves our purpose not only for equity, fairness, and justice, but looking at the political terrain, he stands out as the best material out there that we can market to Nigerians and say, bring whoever you want and let's match them one-on-one. Peter Obi will stand out as the best.
We have been challenged. We have come to the crunch of taking our country back into our hands. And the only way it is possible is to have a free and fair election in which the best man can come. It doesn't matter that I'm Igbo and Peter Obi is Igbo. But where do you see what is right? Speak up for it.
PANDEF is standing in and saying Obi is highly endorsed because he knows what we want in PANDEF. The restructuring we have been clamoring for, he knows what to do. And for that, we are all saying that Obi is our best candidate at the moment.
The regional leaders say they are committed to ensuring that Mr. Obi emerges victorious in the 2023 presidential elections and urge all Nigerians to fight for a better country with their votes.
Meanwhile, the governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, has defended his administration's action to cancel the approval it earlier granted the People's Democratic Party's Presidential Campaign Council to use the stadium in the state for its campaign rally. Speaking during the Rivers State PDP campaign rally in Degema local government area, Governor Wike said the government cannot downplay the validity of the intelligence report, which indicates that the PDP's Presidential Campaign Council may share the use of the facility with the APC, whose activities, the governor said, has been characterized by violence and destruction. The state government had January 11 approved the use of the Adokie Amesimaka Stadium for the PDP presidential campaign slated for February 11. But in a statement dated January 31st, the state government, through the Commissioner for Sports, said the approval had been cancelled. Governor Wike also countered claims by the opposition parties that the recent laws on the use of public facilities for political campaigns are aimed at frustrating the opposition parties in the state from holding campaign rallies to solicit votes.
Don't allow people to make you angry. all we say, if you want to use public facility, if you want to use any of government facility, you must get permission. That's what we say. If you want to use your father's parlor, we don't need you to get permission. Do you understand me? Yes, so we don't need you. If you want to do campaign in your family house, we will come and stop you. But if it's a public place that the government owns, you must pay. You must pay. Because government has to clean the place. Government has to repair anything that has been destroyed. Those of them who are shouting every time are those who are not ready for election. Every time they know they will lose, so they will start to shout so they can have attention. There's nothing like giving them attention this time. No way. Do you understand me? Yes, so nobody should bother. What was said about the state election here is important to us. Your leaders will talk to you about the other one, as we have done it. So you listen to your leader. Let nobody be shaken. We will stand as strongly as we have always been. So people say we stop them from holding rally. We didn't. They applied to me and I gave them. They now went back to begin to meet with a faction of the opposition. And you know that opposition has never had any rally without violence. No way. And he said, no, we cannot joke with the Kemesmeka Stadium.
Well, still ahead of the general elections, elder statesman Chief Edwin Clark is asking the governor of Delta State, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, to step down from becoming the vice presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party. Briefing journalists in Abuja, Chief Clark is also asking Dr. Okowa to openly apologize to his colleagues in the APC and PDP, whom he alleges he deceived in taking a decision after it was agreed that no southern-serving governor, legislator or politician should accept to be running mates to Mr. Atiku Abubakar.
This press conference is in respect of mismanagement of our states. Those who receive the 13% derivation fund under Section 622 have been misusing the money as if they were part of their security money. There is nothing to show for it in the oil producing communities. And that's why you have the youth wanting to say, we do not want to allow this governor to stay without accounting for our money. Our governor, without discussing with any one of us, was working with a presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, without our knowing. He has invited his fellow governors, 17 southern governors, to a meeting, conference in Delta State, where all of them agreed that the presidency of Nigeria must come to the south.
In the meantime, more reactions have continued to trail the difficulty in getting permanent voter cards in Lagos State. Professor of Political Economy and convener of the Big Tent for the Obidati, Professor Utomi, today challenged the Independent National Electoral Commission to up its game or be willing to ask for help in providing Nigerians with the PVC ahead of the election. Professor Utomi laments why Nigerians would have to go through difficult times in registering and still repeating the process to get the card, yet without success. He was speaking during a visit to the INEC office at the Oshodi Solo local government headquarters in Lagos.
This process has been so far frustrated by either INEC officials or whatever circumstances they can claim are responsible. Collection has been extended, but it seems now that it is just a whitewash because people are seemingly unable to collect their voters' cards. I've had a team from the Big Tent here since early this morning, and as I speak to you, it's after 1, quarter after 1 in the afternoon. And only 5 people from the thousands of people massed outside there have been able to collect their cards. Since 8 a.m. of thousands massed outside there. They took a lot of trouble to register. They are being frustrated and prevented. Many have even gone. This cannot be a democracy. If INEC does not have the competence to do a simple thing like capture people's biometrics and give them a card that holds it, something is fundamentally wrong. How can we trust that organization to conduct free and fair elections? The imperative of this is that the extension is certainly not of any value. It needs to be extended further, but more importantly, we need better approaches. Otherwise, we will accept the default, which is that INEC is complicit in trying to prevent the Nigerian people from casting their ballots in this election. If they dispute it, they should do something to prove that that is incorrect.
We have more stories, but this time from our Abuja studios. Linda, it's over to you.
Hello, Millicent. Now to unpleasant news. At least 3 persons have been confirmed dead and 21 others rescued when a 3-story building collapsed in the Gwarinpa area of Abuja. According to the Federal Capital Territory Emergency Management Agency, the building with a basement collapsed this morning, trapping some of the workers. While those rescued have been taken to several hospitals across the nation's capital, the rescue effort is still ongoing.
Heavy machinery wading through the rubble of what is left of a 3-story building meant to be a shopping mall on the 4th Avenue of Gwarinpa Estate in the Federal Capital Territory. The building, which is under construction, collapsed Thursday morning with some of the workers trapped.
This building, we are sitting down there drinking orange. So we saw building coming down. Somebody just say, see building coming down. We just turn to see. We see everything were level. Now we just come back for hospital. They carry us go for that life camp hospital. So this one, it is inside. But me, I know they inside. You understand? Above 2 of them they. But when the thing happened and then they down for the down floor, then tried to escape.
A combined team from the FCT Emergency Management Agency, the National Emergency Management Agency, the Federal Road Safety Corps, the Nigeria Police, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, and the Abuja Metropolitan Management Agency are at the scene of the incident to rescue more persons. Some construction companies with heavy-duty equipment are also part of the rescue efforts.
Whatever led to the collapse is something we are going to handle later. First of all, in that operation like this, is our first engagement is saving lives, and that is what we are doing now. However, at the end of it all, we are going to go and dig into the root of the matter. Who is the engineer in charge of the development? Has he followed his professional practice, his professional ethics insofar since his development? Is everything done in order or not? These are what our investigation team are going to uncover later.
The rescued victims are receiving treatments at the district hospitals in Wuse, Gwarinpa, Asokoro, and the Federal Medical Center, while efforts are still on to rescue anyone that may still be trapped in the building, which has a basement.
To the judiciary, the Supreme Court has dismissed an appeal by the People's Democratic Party seeking to restore the nullification of the participation of the former governor of Osun State, Gboyega Oyetola, and his deputy, Benedict Alabi, in the July 16, 2022 governorship election. The 5-member panel of the Apex Court, led by Justice Sentos Weze, held that the appeal by the PDP lacked merit and directed the counsel to the PDP, Kehinde Ogunwumiju, to withdraw it. The court held that the PDP could not, under the law, question the process leading to the emergence of Oyetola and Alabi as candidates of the APC in the election. Justice Emeka Nwite of the Federal High Court in Abuja had, in a judgment on September the 30th, 2022, nullified the participation of Oyetola and Alabi in the governorship election on the grounds that their nomination forms were endorsed by an acting chairman of the APC, who was also a serving governor of Yobe State, Mai Mala Buni. Justice Nwite's judgment was set aside by the Court of Appeal Abuja in a judgment in December last year, a decision the PDP appealed to the Supreme Court. Justice Inyang Ekwo of the Federal High Court Abuja has ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to accept the nomination of candidates of the Labour Party in 24 states of the Federation for the purpose of the 2023 general elections. The court ordered that the electoral body must accept the list of the candidates either manually or through its electronic nomination portal. The leaving judgment, Justice Ekwo held that INEC violated Sections 31, 33 and 36 of the Electoral Act 2022 in rejecting the Labour Party's candidates in the affected states on the ground of non-functionality of its nomination portal. The Labour Party had last year, November, conducted substitution nomination for its candidates who withdrew from the 2023 general elections in the affected states. The withdrawals were communicated to INEC by the national chairman and national secretary of the party, along with notification of October 27 date to conduct substitution nomination primary elections. Away from the judiciary, the Semi-Border Command of the Nigeria Customs Service has intercepted over $6 million bills alleged to be fake American dollar notes worth 2.7 billion naira in Gbaji area of Lagos. The notes, equivalent of 2.763 billion naira at an exchange rate of 460.52 naira, was intercepted from 4 suspects. The area controller of the command, Dera Nadi, explains that the seizure was made by officers at a checkpoint along the border corridor. He adds that at the point of interception, the smugglers promised to bribe the officers with $150,000 original currency in order to allow for the passage of the fake currency through the semi-border. And that's all from Abuja. Back to you, Millicent.
Thank you, Linda. And now to education. The Olabisi Onabanjo University in Agoiwoye, Ogun State, has flagged off a 6th-phase program for its 40th Foundation Day anniversary with a press conference by the Vice-Chancellor of the institution tagged "Lighting the Path of Academic Excellence." Addressing the gathering, the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Ayodeji Agbola, unveiled 6 intervention pillars to further reposition the institution for greater achievements and exploits. While seeking the understanding and further support of critical stakeholders, he promised purposeful leadership to effectively harness the potentials of the institution for national development.
The 40th Foundation's anniversary, attended by the Vice-Chancellor, principal officers, members of the pioneering set of the institution, and invited guests, is to celebrate the achievements, growth and success of the university in the last 40 years.
Directors of this unit and of course head of unit, you know the avalanche of
The Vice-Chancellor reiterates the commitment of the institution to the molding of students in learning and character for development.
Towards the actualization of the great vision of becoming a 21st century citadel of learning. This is planned to achieve by consolidating on the various achievements of the past administration through the following 6 strategic intervention pillars, believed to be formidable in engineering the desired holistic development for this university.
The Vice-Chancellor has again set a 5-year rolling plan for the institution.
1. Improvement in carrying capacity. We also need to improve in our teaching and learning facilities. We also need to sustain what we have now, which is world-class library services. We also need to review old curriculum and develop the new programs. enhancing our quality assurance.
Some of the pioneering students who've made their mark in their chosen careers expressed their desire for the university.
I didn't expect it. I feel great. Just for 40 years, we have gone so far. It's a great deal.
Our emphasis is that in every area of our training, we place emphasis on training that has knowledge, skills, and value. So once you have the skill, you're able to apply the knowledge. And once you are able to have the skill and the knowledge and the value, then anywhere in the world, you are very relevant.
The Olabisi Onabanjo University, formerly Ogun State University, Agoiwoye, named after the first civilian governor of the state, Olabisi Onabanjo, was established in 1982, commenced academic activities in 1983, and since then, the citadel of learning has been lighting the path of academic excellence.
To some company news now. The Festival of Joy promo of Globacom has continued to put smiles on the faces of subscribers, and this time in the commercial city of Onitsha, Anambra State, with the emergence of a car owner. The regional manager of Globacom, Mr. Mike Ihumadu, says it is the culture of the company to give back to society at all times, noting that the first requirement for participation is having a glow line.
The Globacom Festival of Joy promo is making a stopover at the bridgehead axis of the commercial city of Onitsha, Anambra State, where winners are being rewarded with beautiful prizes, according to the regional manager, Michael Ihumadu. The program is aimed at making subscribers happy.
Our promise and the launch of Festival of Joy promo was to empower lucky winners with houses, brand new cars, generators, sewing machines, and rechargeable funds.
In her goodwill message, the member, representing Onitsha South constituency in the State House of Assembly, extends appreciation to Globacom for its kind gesture, while the representative of the National Lottery Regulatory Commission confirms the transparency of the draws.
To appreciate the people that purchase Glow products, Glow phones, Glow number, and you think, it's a joke that this is a live event.
The star prize winner is unveiled. And a later 30-year-old from Enugu State receives the keys to his brand new car.
I was so surprised. I went to work at Tinubu yesterday and they called me that I win a car at a Glow mobile office. Then when I come there yesterday evening, they gave me some papers that I should sign. Even when I got home, I told my uncle's wife about it, but they didn't believe about it. But today, I believe when I got home, everybody believed that the car is mine.
Other lucky subscribers won sewing machines, rechargeable fans, and power generators.
Even the generator set they gave me, this is what I'm even planning to get. Because my business, the little business I'm doing, I need a generator set to carry it up.
The brand ambassadors urge all to glow with pride and become beneficiaries of the company's largesse, while the regional manager adds it will be promo after promo.
People has been winning houses in different states, amazing prizes. Like, as you can see today, someone won a car. So Globacom has been doing it with pride.
This is Glow rewarding their loyal customers, so it's going to make them want to do more and give back. This is more like giving back to society.
If you look at our antecedent, it has always been our culture to give back to our society, to give back to our subscriber.
The company management explains that while being a Glow subscriber is mandatory to participate in the promo, the game changer is dialing *611# and keep recharging, as the more one recharges, the higher the chances of winning.
Let's head now for some business news. Here's Anne Waldo.
Thank you, Millicent. Hello and welcome to Business News. Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has signed a $741 million maintenance service contract with Daewoo Engineering and Construction Company Limited for the rehabilitation of the Kaduna Refinery and Petrochemical Company Limited. The signing of this agreement, which took place today at the NNPC headquarters in Abuja, comes 4 months after the NNPC Limited signed a memorandum of understanding with a South Korean engineering firm on the sidelines of the 2022 World Bio Summit in Seoul. The 110,000 barrels per day facility is one of Nigeria's 4 dysfunctional refineries, which has produced no fuel for many years, leaving the country to rely on imported petroleum products. The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission says it has issued 11 new electricity generation licenses. According to its newly released report of its activities in the first quarter of last year, the NERC mentioned that the latest approval has now taken the country's electricity generating plants from 29 to 40. Well, the power sector regulation also mentioned that it's renewed 2 of its existing licenses and transferred 1 on-grid generation license. The Comptroller General of the Nigerian Customs Service, Colonel Hamid Ali, retired, is recounting how the nation lost over 400 billion naira owing to insecurity, especially in the northeastern part of the country last year. According to him, the targeted revenue for the Nigeria Customs Service for the year 2022 was 3.1 trillion naira. However, it achieved 2.6 trillion naira last year. Speaking with reporters after a meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari at the Villa, the Comptroller General of the Nigerian Customs Service and the Secretary General of the World Customs Organization, Mr. Kunio Mukuriya, called for more investments in border security to allow the service perform its role effectively. And as Nigerians continue to swap old Naira notes for new ones, some customers have lamented the high cost of getting new Naira notes from POS operators. Speaking earlier today on our Business Morning program, the National President, Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents in Nigeria, Victor Lojo, attributes the development to the high premium POS operators are already paying to get cash. Well, to the market now, it's another positive close for the domestic market. Bargain hunting buying in MTN Nigeria and Seplat all drove the market's total value today at the close of trade. Will Ibong has the details.
Welcome to the stock market report. It's another big day at the NGX. 4 days of record gains and no sign of election jitters yet. The all-share index jumped today by 0.93%, almost 1%, to sit pretty at 53,998 points, just 2 points shy of the 54,000 level. We've got the big guys to thank for this. MTN, Seplat, and Geregu investors are definitely positioning in MTN and Geregu. Both companies proposed 10 Naira and 8 Naira each as dividend for investors. And let's check out other market movers. MRS glided on a 10% rise today to close at 17 Naira 60 kobo, with Northern Nigeria flour mills following closely behind. This is reflected in the volume and value of stocks traded. Volume jumped over 1,300% to close in the billions. Earnings seasons still in full swing, and investors, traders appear to be playing it right. And it looks like it's going to be a positive week again. And that's the stock market report. Will Ibong is back to you.
Thank you, Will. Well, we hope this continues into tomorrow and, of course, next week. Well, let's check out closing figures for other markets around the world. Well, that's Business News tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Mwawadu. The rest of the news at 10 continues now with Millicent.
Thank you, Anne. And just to an update of our earlier story about the visit of Professor Utomi to the PVC Collection Center at Osun, well, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Lagos State has accused the Labour Party chieftain of invading its office in the Osun Solo local government area and holding an illegal press conference inside its conference room. The INEC resident electoral officer in the state, Olusegun Agbaje, told Channels Television that he didn't expect such action from a senior senior Nigerian like Professor Utomi. The resident commissioner said the only challenge in Lagos is that many people, instead of transferring their PVCs from their previous locations, rather did double registrations. According to him, people with double registrations can be issued a second PVC because it is assumed that they already have one. Mr. Gbeji was speaking on our political program, The Verdict 2023. And also for the controversy trailing the use of the stadium by the People's Democratic Party in River State, the Emesimaka Stadium. Well, the People's Democratic Party's Presidential Campaign Council in River State says that the state's government reversed the approval for the use of the stadium because Governor Nyesom Wike is afraid of the massive mobilization and acceptance of the presidential candidates, Mr. Atiku Abubakar, in River State. The Presidential Campaign Council, which denied working with the APC in the state, however, accused Governor Wike of directing his appointees and council chairmen to work for the success of the All Progressives Congress presidential candidate, Bola Tinubu. The APC in River State, on its part, denied the allegation that the party and its governorship candidate are working together for the Presidential Campaign Council of the PDP. Some international stories now. Russian President Vladimir Putin has compared the invasion of Ukraine to the fight against Nazi Germany in a speech made to mark the 80th anniversary of the conclusion of the Battle of Stalingrad. Teniola Yetayu has more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening from the Channel studio in London for your international news around the world in 5. Ukraine's defense minister says Russia is preparing a major new offensive and warns it could begin as soon as the 24th of February. According to Oleksiy Reznikov, Moscow has amassed thousands of troops to mark the anniversary of the initial invasion last year. The attack would also mark Russia's Defender of the Fatherland Day on the 23rd of February, which celebrates the army. Ukraine has recently renewed calls for fighter jets to help protect itself from air attacks after Germany, the US and the UK agreed to send tanks. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has called for tougher Western sanctions on Russia ahead of an EU-Ukraine summit. Zelensky, speaking at a joint news conference in Kyiv with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, said the speed of the EU sanctions campaign against Russia has slowed down and should be stepped up. On her part, the EU chief promised that the bloc will continue to stand with Ukraine and more sanctions on Moscow would be introduced soon.
The whole of the European Union is in this with Ukraine for the long haul, and we will stand up for Ukraine as we stand up for the fundamental rights and the respect of the international law. The price cap on crude oil already costs Russia around 160 million euros a day, and we will keep on turning up the pressure further. We will introduce with our G7 partners an additional price cap on Russian petroleum products, and by the 24th of February, exactly 1 year since the invasion started, we aim to have the 10th package of sanctions in place.
The police in Pakistan have revealed that the man who attacked a mosque in the city of Peshawar on Monday used a police uniform to gain access to the area. The suicide bomber reportedly entered through the main gate of the high-security police zone where the mosque is located. At least 100 people were killed in the blast, one of the deadliest attacks in Pakistan in years. The United States has secured access to 4 additional military bases in the Philippines after U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin arrived in Manila for talks. With the deal, Washington has stitched the gap in the arc of U.S. alliances, stretching from South Korea and Japan in the north to Australia in the south. Austin referred to the Philippine decision as a big deal as he and his counterpart reaffirmed their commitment to bolstering their alliance.
We discussed concrete actions to address destabilizing activities in the waters surrounding the Philippines, including the West Philippine Sea. And we remain committed to strengthening our mutual capacities to resist armed attack.
North Korea says drills by the United States and its allies have reached an extreme red line and threatens to turn the Korean peninsula into a more critical war zone. The statement by Pyongyang's foreign ministry comes after the United States said on Tuesday that it would increase its deployment of advanced military assets to the region as it strengthens joint training and operational planning with South Korea. The statement adds that North Korea is prepared to counter any short or long-term military challenge with the most overwhelming nuclear force. Chadian President Mohamed Deby has inaugurated an embassy in Israel, building on bilateral relations that were established 5 years ago. Deby, who is on a 48-hour state visit to Israel, also held talks with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on boosting relations. Chad had cut ties with Israel in 1972 after the Organization of African Unity, now known as the African Union, issued a decision to its member states to cut diplomatic ties with Israel in solidarity with the Palestinians. And finally, music star Beyoncé has announced her first solo tour in nearly 7 years that will see her perform around Europe and North America. A major ticket site crashed today as fans in the UK rushed to get their hands on pre-sale tickets. The Renaissance World Tour will kick off in Sweden on May the 10th, traveling across the continent until the end of June. It will then resume in Toronto in July before wrapping up in New Orleans in September. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Taniola. Welcome to Sports News. The Interim Management Committee of the Nigeria Premier Football League has directed the deducting of 3 points and 3 goals from Bayelsa United for the assault on a match official during Wednesday's game against Doma United in Yenagoa. The match ended 1-1, but a fan of Bayelsa United, Joseph Zaduga, assaulted an assistant referee, and the league body banned the fan for 1 year while ordering an immediate prosecution of the fan. British police has confirmed that charges of attempted rape and assault against Manchester United forward Mason Greenwood have been dropped by prosecutors. The Crown Prosecution Service said the withdrawal of key witnesses and new material coming to light were factors in their decision to stop the case against Greenwood. And that's a wrap on Sports News. I'm Victor Matthias. It's back to Millicent with the wrap of the news at 10.
Thank you, Victor. And the main news again. Central Bank of Nigeria today warned against the sale and abuse of Naira notes, especially at social events, saying perpetrators stand the risk of being fined or prosecuted. Also today, the House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee investigating the nation's stolen crude alleges interference by Office of the Attorney General and Interpol in its assignment. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Millicent Walker. Have a good night. Stay safe.